Hello guys, you're looking at the recent Japanese earthquake, the 7.5 that occurred on the 1st of January, just a couple of days ago. And I'm just doing this video, and it's only a brief video, but I wanted to comment upon it because, like with many earthquakes like this, you're wondering, is it natural or is it artificial? Is it potentially an attack? Okay, well, the very fact I'm doing this video, especially with the title, should tell you that it is in fact an artificial attack, this earthquake. It is not natural, okay? Now you're looking at the USGS here and you can see the basic details. This is just a screenshot image from their website. And it's just central in this blue blob here. This is the epicenter point and you can see the coordinates at the bottom left, okay? Now you might also note on this map though that there's a city to the top right called Niigata. Now, there is a nuclear power station in this area, and I believe it was in 2008 when there was another earthquake, another one I did an analysis of many years ago, which also was artificial. It was a 6.8, and that damaged a nuclear power station, the largest in Japan, and it was out of action for a year while they were repairing it. Well, something similar has happened here with all these earthquakes. And you can see from this article here, Japan News, they're talking about radioactive material spills over. This is the nuclear power station, I think the very same one that was actually damaged in a prior earthquake, which again was an attack itself. Now, I want to just say regarding, in terms of triggering earthquakes artificially, I have done presentations of this in the past, and you can have a look at, in this case, you can look at one I did with Kerry Cassidy, and here's the screenshot of, the website itself, and the links in the description box, where I go into detail about how you have certain sites around the world which are emitting ground waves, and they are also triggering scalar beams which intersect at specific points underground, which form the epicenter points of artificial earthquakes. And you can see here Menwith Hill and also Pine Gap. These are two of the main sites responsible, especially in the Western Hemisphere. These are two sites that are actually controlled by the United States, specifically the NSA. Menwith Hill is located here in the UK and Pine Gap is in Australia. Now, with regards to this earthquake that's just occurred in Japan, Menwith Hill would appear to be a key site that was instrumental in triggering the earthquake. Now, if we just look here again, this is a composite screenshot here where to the left of it, again, it's from the USGS, it's just a normal screenshot of the critical details of the earthquake itself. 1st of January, and you can see it's 7 hours, 10 minutes and 9 seconds universal time. We've got the precise coordinates, latitude and longitude. Now in the black box to the right, this is the ICE software. This is the US Naval Observatory's Interactive Computer Ephemeris. This is where we can work out the positions of celestial objects like, say, the Sun, and their latitude, longitude, ground position upon the Earth at any given time. And in this case, I programmed it to work out where the Sun was located at the precise second in time of the earthquake itself. So I just want to show you a critical relation, and it's in line with the kind that you will see if you go to that description video that I give you. And it's the kind of example in line with many that I gave when I was interviewed by Kerry Cassidy, okay, explaining how it works. So by all means, that's a lengthy interview. What I'm about to say here assumes you know what that interview is about, or at least are familiar with my work previously, because this is just a brief update video essentially. But let's have a look at some of the key details then of this Japanese earthquake. You can see here then from this specific screenshot, we've got the earthquake itself. It's a 7.5 magnitude earthquake. Precise time 1st of January 2024, 7 hours 10 minutes and 9 seconds universal time, straight from USGS. Same with the epicenter, and that's in the green box right at the top. That is the coordinate you have, the coordinate set for the epicenter, and it's in red, the red blob, if you will, on the screen here, to the right. And if you look closely and you can just see the outline of Japan, that's where the actual epicenter of the earthquake was. You also see then in the blue blob in the earth right to the left-hand side of it, again, if you look closely, that's where the United Kingdom is. That's the precise coordinates of Menwith Hill. And again, if you want to zoom in on Google Earth, that's what this screenshot image of the world here is, you will see exactly where it is, and it matches those coordinates, right? Using the ICE software, we can work out where the latitude and longitude coordinates of the sun are at the precise moment the earthquake strikes, when the needle goes all haywire. And that's the yellow blob you can see of the sun on screen here. Now, we then have the Great Circle Separation Arc distance from Menwith Hill to the sun. This is one of those key components when we're looking at scalar beams and we're looking at harmonics and earth resonance. There are certain arc lengths which are intimately associated with triggering these kinds of events. So the red arc length here is the one we're interested in, and that's the value given in the direct arc box when it says Great Circle Separation Arc distance. It's the 36,522,087 feet. All these distances here are in feet, right? But it is a few thousand miles or so, but that's the precise value in feet. If you also look to the image of the Earth, you can see the yellow line. That is basically the full equatorial circumference of the Earth, and its value is given in the purple boxes right at the bottom. So what we're interested in then is the ratio between the equatorial circumference and the Great Circle Separation Arc, the two values given there. And a simple division sum reveals the following. You can see the answer is practically dead on 3.6, and I do mean practically dead on, with split second timing. These are exactly the kinds of ratios that you see that imply intent, they imply high precision targeting. You see, because the Earth's rotating on its axis, the position of the sun on the Earth is dynamically changing from moment to moment, okay? And so when you get this ratio to such precision, almost dead on 3.6, and you can see there are like 4 zeros before we then go into a seemingly random string of numbers. This is split second timing, right? When you see ratios of this precision, it means that they waited, right? They, as in the people that did this, they waited for the Earth to rotate around so the sun was at exactly the right position, so that ratio is achieved between the equatorial circumference of the Earth and the Great Circle connection arc right there. They waited for that level of precision, then they triggered it. We're talking about scalar waves intersecting just underneath the Earth's surface to trigger the earthquake at the precise epicenter, and they are boosted by ground waves emitted by sites like Menwith Hill. So what I think happened here is, and this has happened to Japan a few times in the past, I imagine that the people running Japan, they refused to do something, right? The globalist elite, the kind of people we all know we're talking about, they probably told Japan to do something and they refused, and this is some kind of punishment earthquake, okay? I think that's exactly what's going on here. Now, the question is what happens next? Japan was hit by an earthquake in 2008 in the same area, but they were also hit, again, as I've done in many presentations in the past, they were hit by the 2011 earthquake that damaged the Fukushima plant that went into meltdown, right? And it was about 6 months after that event that there was a very interesting earthquake that occurred within the United States, and it had the same timestamp, universal time in terms of hours and minutes, 5 hours 46 minutes universal time, okay? That was the timestamp for the day in question in 2011 in March, okay? March the 11th, when the Japanese earthquake occurred there that caused the Fukushima meltdown. It was 6 months later, an earthquake occurred in the United States bearing exactly the same universal timestamp, okay? 5 hours 46 minutes. So I think that they had a certain retaliation, there was a certain payback to it. So I do wonder if the Japanese may retaliate here, because obviously with the Menwith Hill connection, with the US connection, the Western connection, you know, the Japanese must know who's responsible for this. The question is, are they going to maybe trigger an earthquake, you know, as a payback thing, maybe in the United States, for example, you know? I think this is what you've got to be wondering about. But anyway, I just wanted to put this out there. If you want to know the full specifics about how this works, look at the video in the description box that I did with Kerry Cassidy. It's a very lengthy interview, but this one is just giving you a bit of an update and giving you a decisive ratio which at least confirms that this earthquake here in Japan that just occurred a few days ago was absolutely artificial. It was not natural. It was a blatant attack against Japan.